Hey everyone, it's Brandy and welcome back to my channel, Brandy Janae's Book Show. Today I'm here to do my October wrap up. So I have been procrastinating over the last 3 days, which are my off days. I have been meaning to get stuff prepped and filmed and do edits on videos over all 3 days, or at least over 2 of them, and I just haven't gotten around to it. I've just been in one of those moods where I just don't really feel like doing anything besides reading, and that's really like listening to audiobooks at the moment. So I very rarely just let myself sit around and not do anything because I feel guilty when I'm just sitting around. So I kind of just did that this weekend, and now it's just after 6:30 on Tuesday and I'm like trying to scramble to get a video filmed and 3 videos edited before I go to sleep and like get them scheduled to go up for the rest of this week. So we'll see how that goes because I'm trying not to stay up too late because obviously I go back to work tomorrow, yada yada yada. You guys don't care. Anyway, like I said, this is going to be my October wrap up, like my end of the month wrap up. So I posted my mid-month wrap up basically at the end of October. So this video, I feel like it's not going to be a whole lot of new things because the majority of the books that I read during the first half of the month, or at least I talked about in that first video. So I will be referring you guys back to that one a lot. Instead of continuing to ramble on, let's go into a few of the stats that I kept track of for the month. I read a total of 17 books over October. And over those 17 books, I read 4,446 pages. Over those 17 books, I had an average rating of 4.07 stars. And that's for all of my new reads, which I am pretty sure, I think I said this last month or maybe the last couple months, but I'm pretty sure that this is my highest rating, like average rating for a month, because usually it's around 3 something, and it actually was over 4 stars this month. And then I didn't have any DNFs or books that I just didn't finish reading for the month. 3 of the books that I read were rereads. 11 of the books I have print copies. 4 books were ebooks, and then 2 of the books that I read were strictly on audio. And as always with my end of the month wrap ups, I'm going through them in rating order, starting off with my rereads since I don't have any DNFs this month, and then working my way up to my highest rated. So the first set of books that I'm going to be talking about is actually combined from different areas that I would have talked about them, because a couple of them are rereads and then the rest are new reads, and then ratings are kind of staggered over 4 and 5 stars. But I wanted to just put them all together because I'm pretty sure that I talked about all of them during my mid-month wrap up, and they're all from the same series. So instead of trying to talk about them separately, I just lumped them all together. So with that being said, I'm talking about the Kate Daniels series by Alona Andrews. If you haven't heard anything about this series at all, it is following a character named Kate Daniels who is living in Georgia. She's kind of back and forth between Savannah and Atlanta, but at the start of the first book in the series, her guardian ends up being murdered, and she goes to Atlanta to try to figure out who killed him and why, and that ends up with her getting intertwined with different supernatural beings in the world. So we have shapeshifters in Atlanta. They're the shapeshifter pack of Atlanta, and they're pretty big. And then she also gets intertwined with the people who are the necromancers, who basically control vampires. It's a whole world, whole system set up that's very intricate, and it's really involved. I really enjoy it. So if you're into like urban fantasy, paranormal type of books, this one is definitely a good one to check out. Just to go over them quickly again, this is all ratings from this time around using CallPal to figure out what it's gonna get. So Magic Strikes, book 4 in the series, got 4 stars. Magic Bleeds, book 5 in the series got 5 stars. And then I also did read a couple of novellas. This one was a pretty big month. If you haven't heard me talking about this, once again, I'm participating in a read along for this series, which is why I've been reading, you know, so many stories from the series each month. Okay, and then I read Magic Morns, which is a novella that is focused on Andrea Nash and Raphael, and I'm pretty sure that I went into a bit more detail in my mid-month wrap-up, so I will of course have that link so you guys can go check that out for further details. Then I also read Magic Dreams, which was novella 4.5 in the series. This one is following Dolly and Jim. Jim is introduced in the first book, and then Dolly is introduced in book 3, I'm pretty sure. And that one got 5 stars for me. Definitely my favorite side story in the series up to that point. And then the final thing that I finished up from the Kate Daniel series in October was the Current Point of View short story collection, which was basically different scenes from, I believe, the first 4 books in current perspective, and that will end up getting 5 stars for me as well. It wasn't any new content as far as like things that were actually happening in the story. Obviously with this we just got to see a different perspective, but it definitely added to the story for me in terms of like character development and romantic development between our main characters. So yeah, that will end up getting 5 stars for me. And the only other book that I finished that I counted as a reread for the month was The Crow Prince by Holly Black, which is book 1 in the Folk of the Air series. I think it's what it's called. I always forget. I originally picked this up because I was trying to make my way through the first 2 to get to book 3, which is on my deck of TBR for the month. I didn't make it that far, but I did reread this one. If you haven't heard anything about the series, this is following this character named Jude after her and her twin sister are taken back to live in Fairy when their parents are killed. We fast forward, I think, like 10 years or something like that. Now she's trying to make a place for herself in this fairy world. She's been training and she wants to compete to become like a guard or something like that. But there's a lot of conspiracy and other things going on that she has to try to navigate, obviously being a human, and things aren't always great for her. I did reread this one. I think it got like 3 stars, which is what it got every other time I've read it. Okay, now moving over into all of my new reads for the month. Still actually going through books that I read during the first half of the month, so not gonna take a whole lot of time on these. But the next one that I have to talk about is Pridemates by Jennifer Ashley, which is an adult, I'm pretty sure, like paranormal. And in the story we're following this character named Kim, who is, long story short, ends up being the defense attorney for a shapeshifter because he's accused of killing his girlfriend and she believes that he didn't do it. And she ends up meeting up with one of the leaders of the shifter town in her city, and trying to convince him to do whatever it is possible to help get this shifter off the hook for something that he didn't do. And it kind of unravels into a much bigger plot, but that's the basis. I did already talk about this one in my mid-month wrap-up, so I'm not going to go through thoughts again, so go over and check that one out for more thoughts. Moving on, the next one that I had was a manga, and this one was Stick Fight Island Volume 1 by Reben Ike. This one is following this isolated group of people. They live on 8 islands that are grouped together. I can't remember the name of the set of islands at the moment, but every 4 years they have this competition to decide who's going to be the next king, basically, of the set of islands. And it's not like we're following one character specifically, but we do focus a little bit more on one character. I know this kind of contradicting myself, but because he is coming back from studying overseas, and he was chosen as his clan's chosen one to compete this year to decide who's going to be the next king. So we follow him as he comes back to the island, and he has this new secret technique that no one knows about, and he's determined to win so that he can become king. And we're pretty much just following the competition and what's gonna happen after that for different characters. I'm not gonna talk more about thoughts because once again, this is one that I've already talked about in my mid-month wrap up, so you can go check out that one for more information. Now, what I didn't know, I don't know if I mentioned this in that video or if I found out afterwards, is that this is actually going to be a series. It looks like, I don't know how many are going to be in the series, but I did see that there is going to be a volume 2, and with the way that this ended, like, it was kind of left where it could be more, but it didn't need to be more to the story. So I'm curious of how that's going to be handled, but for now, this one got 3 stars for me. And then the final 3-star read that I had for the month was The Great Jahi Will Not Be Defeated, volume 1 by Wakami Kanbu. And this one actually came in one of my Manga Spice Cafe boxes, so I'm really not gonna go into thoughts on this one either. But this one is following this character named Jahi, who was, for lack of a better term, like princess of the underworld, and she was really taking advantage of the situation that she was in. But then one day this magical girl comes to the underworld and like completely destroys it, and now Jahi is living on Earth, and she has been changed into this little girl because she doesn't have the same amount of powers as she used to, and she is forced with living this way. She does have a certain amount of time every day where she can turn into her normal form, which is this on the back, and she does work so that she can, you know, make a living. But most of the time she is in this like little girl form, and she's determined to find these stones that are supposed to or that hold the power from the underworld, so that she can recreate it and she can get back to the life that she had previously. Like I said, this one did get 3 stars for me, and it did come in a Manga Spice Cafe box, so I will make sure to link you to that video so you can check out my thoughts on this one. So now we're going to be moving over into my 4-star reads, and I think one of these I might have talked about during my mid-month wrap up, but the other 2 I haven't, so I'm just gonna go through all of them again. And that is the last 3 volumes from After the Rain by Jun Mayuzuki. So I had 3 volumes left of this, so I went ahead and finished that off. So here's volume 3, here's volume 4. Yeah, I had to make sure it was in order, but this is volume 4, and then finally here is volume 5. So in the series, we're following this character named Akira Tachibana, and before the start of the series, she has an injury from track because she is on her school's track team, but for whatever reason, we don't really get an explanation why she hasn't been back. And she has found joy in working part-time at this family restaurant, mostly because she has developed a crush on her 45-year-old manager. And it's kind of following her day-to-day life working in this restaurant, and also trying to figure out the best way to express her feelings to her boss, considering that it's such, I guess, a taboo type of thing. She doesn't really view it as that, but it's obviously seen that way. I feel like it's very hard to really talk about this one because, like I said, it's very like everyday slice of life type of story, so there's not much like intricacies going on other than just following along with the story that the author decided to tell. But for whatever reason, it was something about the story that just really sucked me in. I didn't even really care about like the romance aspect of it. Like, I was really hoping that nothing would happen because she was like 16, 17. He's 45-year-old. He used to be married. He has a kid. And she's like, okay, yeah, this is what I want out of life. And I just felt like she had latched on to him because he was the first person to kind of show her some type of kindness outside of like her friend group or people her own age. And she kind of just latched on to that. So that's really what I wasn't rooting for, any type of romance. Like it just kind of, I don't know, that wasn't super important to me. It was just like following along with this character, and that's usually not something that I enjoy. So when it just sucks me in, I was just like, okay, I need to read more of this, which is why after reading the first volume, I had just went ahead and like ordered the rest of the series. And I'm glad that I did, because I did really enjoy it, and it is something that I could see myself rereading in the future whenever I get the opportunity to. I feel really bad because I can't give you concrete thoughts of why I enjoyed this so much. It was just like a very like breath of fresh air type of read. I don't know. I just know that I really enjoyed it and I could see myself rereading this in the future. I did give each of the 3 volumes that I just held up 4 stars, so that's why it's in this section, because 4 stars divided by 3 averaged out to 4 stars. So yeah, I really enjoyed this series. I'm glad that I went ahead and finished this off. I think I actually read the whole thing this year. You know what? I just realized I did have copies of the Kate Daniels books. I completely forgot. I was like, why do I have 2 books? But yeah, if you care, these covers are ugly anyway, but those are the 2 books that I read this month. Anyway, moving on, the next 4-star read that I had was Mashley, Magic and Muscles Volume 1 by Hajime Komoto. And this was another one that came in a Manga Spice Cafe video, but this one came in the July box. So that video is already uploaded to my channel, so you will have that linked as well. In this manga, we're following this character named Mash, who is a boy without magic living in a magic world. It doesn't have a huge impact on him because he was raised in the woods with his father, but one day he decides to go into town to get some cream puffs, and he's discovered because everyone who's magical has these like marks on their faces to show what kind of magic or how powerful they are, and he doesn't have any markings on his face, and everyone freaks out, and he really just wants to live in the woods along with his father, not really have to worry about anything else. And this bounty hunter gives him the opportunity. He says if you go to the school, become the top student basically, and win the cash prize or win whatever you get for becoming the top student, if you give that to me, then I'll leave you alone. You can live in peace and we'll call it even. And he was like, okay, well, that's what I want to do. So he goes off to the school to try to become the top student so he can, you know, live the life that he wants, to just be alone in the woods with his father like he was raised. I'm gonna leave it there because, like I said, I've already talked about this in another video. I know that it's probably not the best to be linking you guys to separate videos, but if you can help me get my view count up, that would help. And then I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time because I read this, I think, pretty early on in the month. So definitely go check out that video for thoughts on this, and just know that I did really enjoy it, which is why it's in my 4-star section, and I cannot wait to pick up more from this series because I found this really fun. The next 4-star read that I have to talk about is Girl Got Game Volume 4 by Shizi Rosino. And this is obviously continuing a series. This one is following this character named Kyo, whose father enrolls her into this school as a boy to be able to play on the school's boys basketball team because they're really well known, and she's forced with continue to try to make sure that no one finds out that she's actually a girl so that she doesn't get kicked out of the school. This volume, someone in the story actually finds out that she's a girl, and it kind of spirals out of control, I guess. And I'm gonna leave that here because I did also talk about this one during my mid-month wrap up. And then the final 4-star read, and I believe the last book that I've already mentioned in another video, is Skip and Loafer Volume 1 by Misaki Takamatsu. So in this story, we're following this character named Mitsumi who grew up in a very small town, like I think out in the countryside, and she decides that she wants to move to Tokyo so that she can go to a big city high school so that she's able to accomplish all of the goals that she has. And we're pretty much just following along with her as she does that. This one did come in a Manga Spice Cafe. This one came in the August box. This one, along with The Great Jahi Will Not Be Defeated, will be talked about in the same video, so definitely go check that out. And then finally, we're going to move over into my 5-star section. I did only have 2 books for this section this month, but that's more than last month because I'm pretty sure last month I didn't have any. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is The Heart Principle by Helen Huang, which is a contemporary romance. We're following this character named Anna Sung who has been struggling with her success after a video of her goes viral. She gets a lot of opportunities, but because of pressure that she's feeling. Things have not been working out for her lately. And then on top of all of that, one day her boyfriend tells her that he wants to have an open relationship, and she decides that she needs to do something different and that she's going to try to have a bunch of one night stands, because I think he told her, like, you're not gonna go meet anybody else. And then that's where our other character Quan comes into the picture. The two of them end up meeting on a dating app. This was just really cute. Also, it's very frustrating because I feel like in all of the other books we had a supportive, very supportive family aspect of it, even if it wasn't, like in the first book, it wasn't always exactly how the main character needed the support, but it was still there. And in this one, we had Anna's family was very dismissive of her, and it was so frustrating reading, because I was just like, just do this. And I'm like, sometimes, like, even if it's just like one time, you need to like speak up, or it's never gonna change. And I was just like, watched it spiral out of control, and it was just so frustrating to watch those aspects of it. So but it was like so real and so in the moment that I can like imagine this being an actual person, like, and these things happening for real. And like I said, something about the way she just puts it together makes it really believable, and I just loved how everything was. It got 5 stars, obviously. I love this. I love the story. I love the author. I'm already waiting for the next thing that she puts out, even though this just came out. But it was really good. Like I said, it got 5 stars. And the final thing that I have to talk about is Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Amida. Hopefully I said that correctly. I'm pretty sure that's how it was said in the audiobook that I listened to. But yeah, this is the final book that I have to talk about. This is a dual perspective thriller that is following characters Chiamaka and Devon, who are the two characters that are pictured on the cover. The two of them both attend Nivea's private academy, and they are the only 2 black students that attend the school. They're going into their senior year when suddenly everyone in the school are getting these text messages from this person, Aces, that is revealing secrets about both Chiamaka and Devon, and they decide that they need to figure out who it is before secrets are revealed that are going to stop them from, you know, getting wherever they want to go next in life. And that was a very simplified version of this book, but this book had me seething. Like, it was points where I was just like, okay, I have to stop for today because my heart is racing, because I'm that upset about things that are going on. I was like, I need to take a step back and just breathe. This was so well done. If you have not read this, what are you waiting on? I'm kind of disgusted with myself that I waited so long, but obviously I didn't know because I hadn't picked it up yet. But like, I don't even want to really talk about what happened because I don't want to give anything away. But what I will say is that like, at first I was a little frustrated with the fact that it seemed to be going really slowly. Like, it was kind of laying everything out. Like, we started at the very beginning. It just seemed like these 2 everyday kids, one of them very popular, the other one really no one knows about him. He stuck to himself. He had his own life, you know, he's doing what he needs to do to get through to the next steps. And it was just like, okay, when are we gonna get to the point? But like, it needed to happen the way that it did. Like, it needed to go through those slow moments so you can be with the characters through each step and to see how big everything was by the end of this book. This author did such a good job of portraying the characters and portraying the whole situation that was presented in this book. Sorry I'm moving so much, but oh man, this is why I need someone like I can talk to, like, as soon as I'm done reading, because I'm still not over this. I probably will never be over this. Anyway, I'm already excited for whatever she decides to put out next. And this made me realize that maybe I am actually into thrillers. 5 stars. Definitely my favorite book Like, obviously my favorite books of the month were between these two. I can't choose because they were both on like different ends of the spectrum, but go check this out if you haven't. Even if you have to get it from the library because you don't want to like own a copy or whatever, go check this out. This is really good. With that being said, that was everything that I needed to talk about in this video. Let me know down in the comments what are some of the books that you finished in October. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye.